would love it hard.
I sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on how well I do it. And I was taught, I'll probably trim it this afternoon so I can show you. I was taught to, like, you should be able to throw all of this and then kind of trim your foot with the knife and it's done.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back. So it did take me a long time to be okay with it, but sometimes I'll put it back on the wheel this way and trim a little bit off of here and then kind of reshape the foot.
What she just said is what Greg's been trying to do.
Yeah.
That's good. He is a good teacher. He shouldn't be here. Yeah. He said he was going to be, but I thought he was going to be here last night too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Tara, when we take breaks, it's just going to be whenever is good for your flow, you know?
Okay. Well, I need to wedge up some more clay after this, so I'm ready for this one. Do you guys have a heat gun? Or
Yeah.
And
It's over
it's right behind there, yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
The red one.
Yep.
By the
Yeah.
outlet.
By the outlet, you
Yeah.
see it? Yep.
I don't normally use one, but I think it'll be good to be able to.
Yeah, these workshops, you have to,
Yeah.
have to bring up
We
a
have a
flame.
fan too.
Okay.
Propane torches, you name it.
Yeah.
We got it. You know, I get really mixed on those tools because then you see people overusing them. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
That becomes
yeah.
their regular technique,
Yeah.
and you're like, wait a minute. It's like, that's a last ditch thing, you know? Or not a last ditch, but you know. Minimal use tools.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, sort of. I'll sort of go with that, or not.
Well, when you're only here for a couple hours, you know.
When the heat gun's running all day, it's like, come on, poor little engine. I just use Kiln.
Yeah. It's nice.
Like when you're
right
glazing
there.
and you need it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that kiln's really warm right now because it just fired overnight. So if you want to put stuff on top of it.
Oh yeah. That might be good too.
In your environment up there, how do you dry? Do you just tend it every day, or do you have a dry
Yep.
room, or?
No, I just, every day. I think because I'm out there so much that I usually don't leave pots uncovered overnight. So I'll, like, come into the studio and uncover everything and kind of monitor it while I'm there. And I cover it all back up when I leave till it's to the point where it can just totally dry out. I've been using these damp boxes that are just like Tupperware things with some plaster in them. Those work really well. One of my assistants who worked for me last year, she was using them, and at first I was like, those are silly, they take up so much space, and why would you ever use that? And she made one for me, and I'm like, oh my god, can you make 10 more of these?
I know we're really lacking for personal storage here, though. Like, you
They're
know,
definitely not the
Yeah.
most efficient
use the
space,
space, yeah.
or maybe they're just different. Because I mean,
One over there. Darin.
I was covering the same amount of pots, but just under plastic. Then the next thing is it really makes the pot really uniform in
Yeah.
its moisture, and then you don't get all the plastic marks on the pots. It's really good for handles or any kind of attachment, is like where you have a pot that's a little drier, because you know you have to wait till they're leather hard to put that handle on there. You put it in that thing overnight, and it just is all uniform by the morning. And I've also figured out, so Rachel made me 2 of those, which really isn't enough, like I need to make some more. And I've bought a few new Tupperwares that, even without the plaster in the bottom, they work pretty well. So if there's pots that I don't mind if they dry a little bit, I'll just put them on the table like a board full of pots, and then put the thing upside down on them
Oh.
instead of plastic.
That's good.
That works really nice. I don't know if you could do that for building.
We're really spatially challenged.
That's good. It's cleaner than plastic too.
Yeah.
And you can see whether it's
Future
short
campus
stuff.
will have all kinds of personal studio space and
Yeah.
Now, what do you do? What would make you?
This is gonna be another picture. A little bit wider. Kind of like those two that you guys saw last night. So that's gonna be skinnier. This one will be a little wider, fatter.
You shoot in one finger to lift with, is that what you do?
Yeah, I mostly use my middle
Push
finger.
them out over your Great.
oh
There he
no.
is. Uh-oh.
Damn.
How bad is it?
Broke
Oh, Greg.
Oh.
Shoot. I'm so sorry. Ouchie.
Did you throw a contact?
I know, that was my first thought, like, who's gonna teach this class?
Oh, man.
I see substitute teacher in the future. Oh.
I think I was telling a few of you guys how inconsistent the break thing can be. The last batch of clay that I got from them was really super stiff. Like, kind of miserably stiff. It was really hard
What'd you do?
wedging, and I just dealt with it. Like sometimes I get so frustrated with them, but I still got clay there. But this, I just got clay like a week or so ago, and this new batch seems so soft compared to the last one, but it doesn't want to stand up quite as well because that's stiff clay.
So this is what kind of clay is it again?
It's John's.
Right.
Yeah, furry clay.
Kind of like.
It does look like B-Mix, yeah.
Yeah.
The high fire.
Yep.
I think Laguna makes cone 10 B-Mix too.
I think they
We use their 5 a lot here.
What would you use content for? Smaller one? You gonna go to?
No, I'm just telling her that Laguna carries
Oh.
a 10 and a 5, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
a lot of their other
Okay.
kinds of clays, they have different names, and they don't, you know what I mean? Like they don't have a high and a mid range. Jenny Dowd really likes the braise porcelain, like I think it's a 6 porcelain.
Oh, they have a new. Is it Lindsay's? There's a gal that was working for him for a little while, like formulating some clay bodies, and they have a Lindsay's porcelain that's like a cone 6. I wonder if that's what she's using.
Yeah. She liked it better than the Laguna one because she says it doesn't warp as much. Like I can't tell the difference when I'm working with it, but she says firing wise it.
Dave Peters is working for the clay business now too, with the gray. So hopefully, I mean, that guy is like so techy into materials. So hoping that he'll help them
Get more
get some
consistent.
better
Yeah.
clays and be more consistent. They don't have good clays for reduction cooling, which is one thing that Dave is really into.
Hmm.
I've reduction cooled my kiln quite a bit. Not really the way that David does, or like people that are using like high iron clays. Like I still fire cone 10 or 11, and then sometimes I'll cool in reduction. But all of the stoneware clays that the Bray makes will done. He gets Dunting in that atmosphere. So I'm hoping that David's gonna reformulate some of that. I don't use a ton of stoneware. Sometimes if I make those bases or the cup and saucers, I'll use stoneware to make that. But so many other people that have helped me fire bring stoneware, and it's just a disaster. Like all the pots will crack.
Aw.
So I think it is every single stoneware clay that the Bray makes. And it's taken us a while to figure this out, because I'm always like, hey, don't use this one, use this other one, and I'll use that one, and all of those will crack. So I'm like, don't use any of those clays.
Would they work on a regular?
In a normal firing without reduction cooling, yeah.
I used to use a really dark brown that they make that I really liked, actually. But then it started being really inconsistent, like you said.
Yeah.
I loved that clay. It's a cone 5, I don't know what it's called.
Jean-Nicolas Gerard hired with me. It's probably been 2 years ago now. Are you guys familiar with his work? He's a French potter. He sells through Goldmark Gallery. If you don't know that, you should look it up. They have these really amazing videos on their website.
Goldmark? What's the name?
Goldmark Gallery. So they have a video on Jean-Nicolas. But there's probably like 10 or 12 videos. And they're just like very well made videos. They're maybe not so much like how-to type videos, but just like about the artists and their process a little bit. And good interviews, really good imagery. But Jean-Nicolas was working at the Bray. He wanted me to come over there and fire the train kiln with him, and I talked him into firing at my place instead. So he brought all his pots out, and he was making pots out of the stoneware clay. And it was so sad because almost every pot,
Oh.
all that time, and I don't know, it was sad. And we wouldn't have known, like,
Goldmark
my
Gallery.
boyfriend at the time had just broke like 2 of my teapots. This is another really sad story. He broke one of my Janet Mansfield teapots. You guys know Janet or know her? She was an Australian potter who passed away a few years ago. So it's like no replacing that teapot. He broke that, and then he broke a Susie Lindsay teapot like a few days later. And so Jean-Nicolas, when we unloaded the kiln, he gave us, he's like, you can pick a teapot. And we picked one out, put water in it to make tea, and it broke.
Oh.
So then we picked out another one, and it broke. And then we realized like all of his pots were cracking.
And it was all
That's the Dunting, huh?
Yeah.
Dunting's scary how it like
Yeah.
just kind of implodes on
Yeah,
you.
sometimes it'll be like a few days later.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. After a customer gets them home,
Yeah.
and then they're like,
Yeah.
they're like, I barely touched this.
Wow.
You know, it's almost like it fractures.
Yeah.
You know, like layers and I mean, and it's really sharp.
I think
You know?
it's also caused if you cool your kiln too fast, or
Yeah.
like if you open the kiln and it's too hot, that can cause
Huh.
it. But there's something with like
It's in the cristobalite phase.
it's the cristobalite, and I'm not that good at. I don't understand all those chemical reactions and things that happen.
Yeah, I had one glaze combination that was so beautiful that every time I did it, this must be the tension between the inside and the outside or something. Do you know what I mean? Every single one I do with.
Use that metal rib.
Sometimes a day later, sometimes a week later, but always.
That carves the top.
As soon as you went to use it, it did it? Like put
Well,
something
just,
in
you
it?
know, just
Or
no, not
just sitting
necessarily.
around and
Not
just
necessarily, but
like-
you could, yeah, you probably could accelerate it by subjecting it to a little heat.
Register, and I could never get in any of the art classes. I was like, this is ridiculous. So I transferred to Tennessee, and then I started taking ceramics. But I kind of knew, even in high school, I kind of knew, even though I'm like most 18-year-olds, like was still kind of all over the board doing all kinds of stuff and not admitting to myself that that's what I wanted to do. And then I went straight to grad school, which I don't know if that's a good idea. I don't usually tell people to do that, tell young people to do that, but it's what I did, and so I can't, like, I don't regret it. But I was 26 when I finished grad school, which was really, really young. And I was pretty lucky in that I got a lot of attention right away and was selling work and was pretty successful, so it's hard to say like I shouldn't have done that. So cute.
Hey, Zora.
Hey, Dad.
Oh my God.
A lot of times I feel like I missed out on a lot of stuff that you should do when you're younger because I went straight to school. Sometimes I feel like now I'm like that bad student that I never was when I was younger. Like I definitely
Hey, mister.
ski and ride my bike probably more than I should sometimes, like when I should be in the studio working. But I never did that. When not that I was like the perfect student, but I worked really hard in school and I didn't have much social life and all the other stuff that I think is important. I don't think you should be a ski bum and blow off your education, but I think having a better balance than I had was maybe good. And I think now there's so many other opportunities for young people, like residencies and all these new clay centers that are popping up, and or even working for a potter for a little while, or just traveling and doing other stuff before you get done with school. Because I finished grad school in like, even all like Arima and Penland and Anderson Ranch, like they do like work study and assistantship things in the summertime and residencies, and I kind of felt like I was past that because I started teaching workshops right after grad school, and so I was like at this level of, that I felt like I couldn't just go to Penland and be a work study student for a summer. Like I was, and maybe that was just like me thinking.
When
that.
did you travel to China and all that?
That was recently. The first time I went to China, I think, was 2008, and then I went again like 2010 or 11. So that was even after I had set up my studio at home.
Did you also stop by Japan for your?
I haven't been to Japan. I really want to go there.
So where'd you go in China?
I went, the first trip I went to Fuping. There's that residency program there that Ichishu kind of runs. And I went with, there was 7 of us from the States. And then the second time I went with West Virginia University. I went to Jingdezhen. So they take students twice a year. They do the fall semester and then they do a summer program. And they take visiting artists that go anywhere from like a few weeks. I was there for 6 weeks. I don't think the visiting artists stay for the whole semester. The students are there for the whole fall semester. So as a visiting artist, you kind of do demos and teach for 1 week that you're there, and the rest of the time you just kind of hang out with the students. You work in the studio and kind of like as a mentor, I guess, or
Students from
example.
the States. You mean?
Yeah. So it's awesome. You know, and then so for a week you're teaching, and the rest of the time you just get to make work. And if the students have field trips, I did everything with the students. You're not required to as a visiting artist, but I mean they have these amazing field trips lined up for the students. Going to different potteries and things like that. And then in the fall semester, they usually fly into Shanghai, spend a few days in Shanghai before they go out to Jingdezhen. And then at the end of the semester, they have a travel component where they travel up to Xi'an and Beijing and see the Great Wall and the Terracotta Warriors and all that big, like, classic ceramic stuff. I went in the beginning of the semester with them for the first 6 weeks, so I got to spend a few days in Shanghai. There's a really nice museum in Shanghai.
Oh, really? My husband's in Shanghai right now.
Yeah, you should visit that.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell him.
That
I'll tell him
museum is
that.
Yeah.
amazing.
And I chose to go in the beginning with them because when I did the trip in Fuping, I had already spent a little time in Beijing and Xi'an and went to the Terracotta Warriors and Great Wall, and we went to the Han Mausoleum, which I thought was better than the Terracotta Warriors. Have you been there? I think that place is amazing.
Do you get to go to Suzhou Gardens? I love
I
that.
don't think so. Where is that?
Suzhou, it's it's a train ride outside of Shanghai. I forget how far. We were probably on a train for an hour.
Something that was in some temples and things that were in Shanghai. Can't remember
Yeah,
those.
like the Buddhist one
Yeah.
that everybody goes to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Suzhou Gardens is amazing. It's like a World Heritage Site. Ancient gardens with all like rocks that they made mosaic, birds, and it's just unbelievable.
Yeah. Just the history there is crazy. How old stuff is. Like, stuff isn't that old in the States.
That's what made me so sad the other day in Syria. The ancient cities were
Oh,
all totally
yeah.
gone.
Oh,
The
man.
market and everything that they were walking through, that supposedly this ceasefire is holding, but it's just all gone. It's like, oh my gosh.
ISIS has been doing that for a while.
NCECA does those good residencies. I thought about applying for one of those. I always look at them every year and see which centers are having it, because they did one in Japan a few years ago, and I thought I should apply for that. I think if that one comes back up, I will.
Yeah, is it supported? Like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah. So all the dogs on me.
Sniffing my dogs on you.
Have you put up videos on your work?
I haven't, but I'm doing one. Well, kind of take that back. I was a demonstrator at NCECA. This was, I think, 2009. A demonstrator, and they make a video from that, and I still haven't watched it.
We're making one today.
Yeah. But those I think it's Pottery Making Illustrated that does all the videos, that series. They're gonna do one this summer. They're coming out to my studio and gonna make a video. So I'm hoping that, I don't know, feel a little more self-confident. So hopefully I'll do a better job and can watch it and promote it. I don't know, I feel like kind of going back to what I was saying, like being so young when I started getting all of this attention, it's kind of crazy. And like demonstrating at NCECA is really crazy in front of like, I don't know, there's probably a couple thousand people in that room. Yeah. I was so nervous. And I demonstrated with Takeshi. Spacing out. There's two Takeshis and I always get their names mixed up. The Japanese one that ran Pottery Workshop for a while. He was the other demonstrator and he was a talker. I mean, really good stories. I just wanted to listen to his stories instead of work, but it kind of took a lot of pressure off of me because he did most of the talking. But there was a few times where I was like, I should be talking about what I'm doing, and I didn't want to interrupt him. So, I don't know. It's kind of good and bad at the same time. I should watch that video though. My mom watched it. I'm sure a lot of
What'd
people
she
have
say?
watched it. She said it was great.
Is it on
I
Ceramic
mean,
Arts
just
Daily?
my
Like a
mom
mother's-
told me it's bad.
Like, is it on Ceramic Arts Daily or something? You mean it's actually out there? that you
NCECA
can-
does their own series of DVDs.
Right.
So like, you know,
Oh,
or you haven't been there.
so they have clips of though.
I
But
don't know if
it's the same people that do
Is
the
it
Ceramic
the s-
Arts Daily, and it's the same people
Yeah.
who do Ceramics Monthly, and
yeah,
you know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
sure.
They have like clips on there because they're trying to
Yeah.
sell those DVDs.
I think this is like a total separate entity. I
Okay.
think this is NCECA. Because like at the conference where the t-shirts, like where you register, there's like a big table and they sell t-shirts and they sell these DVDs of all the past demonstrators. I think also maybe social media has changed my view on it too. Because when I did that, like Instagram was just kind of, I don't even think it was even started then. Facebook was around, but like people weren't making their own videos, and I think maybe that's why I was so self-conscious too and never watched it. I think now, I don't ever post any videos, but I think it's just more common, maybe.
But I'm getting hungry.
Alright, I'm gonna stop putzing.
Beautiful.
Should we take a little lunch break?
Sure, yeah, we can do lunch. Whatever's, yeah, your flow.
this is it.
I like to get to know.
Either everyone already eat lunch or I just show up just
It's perfect time.
Oh,
Hello.
but I don't know. Yeah, okay, we're on that. Let's go.
Going pretty good.
Spend too much time cleaning everything up.
How do you transport them back?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about that. Do you guys keep any? Do you keep bisqueware? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I'll probably leave.
Josh,
Yeah, we'd love to
Harris,
Yeah.
display it here.
Rick Pope,
Yeah.
and the big blue one, the one that got
Oh yeah.
unfortunately glazed
I
somehow.
think there's a Tom Bivens spot up
Yep.
there too.
Got some serious dust on it.
Big
Yeah, the brown one.
round one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I should take that. Probably sell it.
I knew you were. We did sell the really nice one from that workshop though to that gal. Can't remember her name. But
I
Rich
still
bought
sell
that big-
everything. People come over, I'm like, you can buy it.
Karen laments that. She's like,
I don't
I
even-
just get attached to this, and it was like, here, have it to somebody. She said, yeah, actually, Jenny Dowd, that cup you're drinking out of, she's like, you have to tell every visiting artist they have to leave a cup because we didn't have any cups. You know,
Oh yeah.
all the stuff that was in the studio was so sort of awful. She's like, you just need every visiting artist starting right now. So.
Well, if that
That
works
means
for
we have
you,
to
then
glaze
so.
your cup though. We can
Oh
do that.
yeah. Put it in a salt kiln.
Yeah. Oh, but it's cone 10 clay, isn't it?
What do you fire the salt kiln to?
5, 6-ish.
Okay.
I'm still trying
That's
to get that
pretty
thing
cool.
to fire evenly, so some parts of the kiln
Some
almost
5,
there,
some
and
6.
4, and some are 6 plus. Patty's been threatening to fire that gas kiln sometime now.
Yeah, I'm gonna, I swear. No, we're just.
Yeah.
It's gonna get fired sometime.
Is it here? I mean, are you using it here? You'll just risk it.
Oh, it's all dry now.
Oh, okay.
I took it out and put it in
Oh yeah, you've been using it.
Cause I think that glazes for that? Without the soda.
Oh, it's the
Gas.
What clay do you use for that one?
Cynthia wants to see what our current glaze do with the actual food, so I can't get them out making any more for reduction.
Something. This clay. This is the other thing about the brain clay. I feel a little bad complaining so much about it, but I'm not sure if it's their mixer, but there's no grog in these clays that I use, but there will be little chunky things in there.
Every now and then.
For a while it was really bad.
Yeah, that's aggravating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in there.
And there was a batch of clay where there was stuff in there that would, it must have had some iron in it or something, because when it was fired it would be like black. Like, not just like a speck like grog, but like almost like pitty. Yeah, it wasn't good. I think they resolved that, but I still.
It's round.
Maybe a little bit.
That's a super flexible rib.
Yeah, yeah, the
Soft.
red is the softest.
Yeah.
You know, we've got one a little larger than that.
Do we? Yeah.
Sometimes,
used
sir.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes it's in the reclaim.
Oh.
As long as it's not in the bug mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Or in your pot when you're throwing it.
You had that happen?
I've had all kinds of things.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I always think like it's not my fault, but probably usually is. I think the worst is there was a thumbtack in a pot I was throwing,
Oh, my.
which was definitely my tack. I don't know how it ended up in the reclaim.
It just seems like a dirty trick.
Somebody threw a whole box of little mini nails almost in our reclaim one time, and yeah, people were like on the wheel going, wow, there's like nails.
Wow.
That was bad.
Yes.
It took a while for them to like not be, do you know what I mean? Like even though we got rid of
yeah.
stuff, we were like throwing stuff away, we still, someone thought it was trash,
That would
obviously.
just be emotionally scarring.
Somebody just thought it was in the trash, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a cut on my hand from that tack.
Ooh.
Like centering, I don't know if it was when I was centering or the first pull, but yeah, it like gouged my hand. Chamois are always hard. Chamois and sponges.
At least they're soft.
Yeah. Yeah, and they won't hurt you. It's kind of funny though when you find them. When you throw them.
What would you say the thinnest of your bottoms is? Like half an inch?
Of this pot?
Anything. Really. Well, I know the smaller items could be thinner.
Yeah. Probably, like when you saw the wall of these pots, I tried to roll out that slab the same thickness.
Same thickness.
So like that thickness, not like a quarter inch.
Quarter, probably.
These pots, these pitchers, it's definitely thicker.
Thicker.
Yeah.
It's a nice little touch you do there.
Thanks. I don't. Sometimes I question that too. I think it adds some movement.
Yeah.
Visually takes your eye around.
Well, I'm getting fingerprints in mine. It's a oops.
Well,
I usually come back.
Why is it different?
Oh,
How are your fingerprints different?
it's
They're
intentional.
artistic.
they're stylized.
Wow.
Yeah. They're intentional. In a typical day, will you make things start to finish? Or set them aside and put handles on them the next day? Or
It's different every day.
is it?
Yeah. It depends on what I'm making too.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because if it were pictures, I would probably have like 6 of them going. And I would maybe throw them all in the morning and at least like get them to this stage that day. But maybe then wait till the next day to do all the handles.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. But yeah, it really depends on the pot. A lot of times, bowls, like this kind of stuff, even though I probably could trim them that day, I usually will wait till the next day and trim them. I'm working much faster than I do at home. It's kind of sad how slow I work sometimes. But it's just a matter of catching everything at the right stage. Like, I don't ever use a heat gun at home. So I usually have a lot of different things going in at different stages. So that I'll just work on a pot for a little bit and then set it aside again and work on something else and come back to it. So I might have like 6 pitchers, but then I probably also have 4 or 5 mugs that I threw right before the pitchers. And those I probably could get the handles on that day.
Yes, finish it.
And then I might, even right when I get done throwing the pitchers, probably throw something else because they're probably not ready to alter yet. I'm using way too much clay for this. And some of those bigger pots, I just made a couple for the sparring that are maybe like it's kind of just a big bowl form that's like this wide, maybe 2 feet wide or so. And then I stack up all these handles on it. And those I feel like they take days because I don't use any kind of torch or anything. So like to get that pot to the stage where it's trimmable, it's usually a couple days. And then I'll put a bunch of handles on. Like the last few I've been making, I put 4 small handles on, and then I have to let those stiffen up. And then I stack more handles on top, and then the last one on top of that. So those are like, usually end up the longest, probably like 4 days worth of working. But I'm also working on a bunch of other things at the same time. And then in the summer, I'm sure it happens here too, when it's like just so hot and dry and everything dries super fast. And I have to be careful about not throwing too many pots that I can't finish before they're too dry. So I kind of like making pictures a lot too. Someone asked what my favorite form is, and I think baskets and pictures are probably second. And it's kind of fun to make a few different picture forms. And these different forms kind of allow me to make a little bit different handles too.
Are those basket forms, are they darted too, or are they just stretched?
Yeah, they're darted. Should have made one of those, but I probably wouldn't get it finished.
Have you been in the bathroom yet? Because your work is really well represented.
I did notice that. Is that just because I'm coming?
No, I
Was it-
occurred to me when you were coming that
I
I
know.
looked around there the other day and I went, wow.
years though.
Yeah, they've been up there for years. Because I went to
Maybe
that brace section and there was
subconsciously,
like a lot of.
you just kept seeing it and you're like, you
Yeah.
need to get her down here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just a fan.
Yeah, it is well represented in there.
Some of the stuff came from the Brace 60th one. You know, there were like postcards and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff out of that thing.
the bathroom gallery. Maybe that's where I could make my gallery space.
You got a captive audience.
Yeah?
Good observation time.
Yeah, when I first took over the studio, there was nothing on the wall, so we were kind of made a concerted effort. Actually, the biggest hit is the Mona Lisa. Have you noticed when you walk by it? It's a Halloween thing.
It's a
Yep.
skull with
Oh,
an
hologram.
inside.
Oh yeah, I can kind of see it from here.
It's like the most popular. Although there were some ladies in here the other day that were like super disturbed about it.
Yeah,
It's
I
not
hate
fun.
her.
They're like, I don't like
I
that.
do hate her.
Halloween
It's like,
decoration.
don't look at me.
Barks at the corner drug. Who should we ask to come next year that's within driving distance? There's so many people from Helena, that's like the good candidate
Yeah.
for sure.
What kind of stuff do you want to see?
Anybody have an opinion?
I would like to see the baskets and the big bowls.
Oh, she meant like
Oh,
as far as another artist.
Potters.
Like who we invite next year,
Oh,
yeah.
aren't you coming back next year too?
I could. Well, I'm not sure if these guys are teaching workshops. I kind of think Mel isn't into them, but Mel Griffith and Dave Peters bought a place in Helena.
Yeah.
I know Dave's taught a few workshops, and whenever I've talked to Mel about it, they were both emerging artists a few years ago at NCECA, and Mel has no desire to teach workshops. She could maybe be convinced, though.
Does she like to ski? What can we lure her with?
David is a big fisherman.
I actually would like to get, I thought Sam was going to get Julia Galloway down.
Oh yeah, she would be good.
She'd be good. He's had Sarah Yeager twice, I think. Or no, this summer will be the second time.
Adam Fields lives in Helena now. If you guys want to be super cool, you could have him come. I didn't say that.
It's only on film.
He gives a really good workshop though. I'm being serious. I was just being sarcastic about making hip pots that I was talking about earlier. But I have demoed with him, I think a couple times, and he gives a really good workshop.
Who's the guy that does the real architectural stuff up in Montana?
Robert Harrison.
Yeah, he came to Utah State one time and we did a big group project with everybody in the department, and it was the most controversial thing on campus ever. People were so.
That's funny.
It was weird because
I feel like his work's not controversial.
I know, right? And like it was in a plaza, like a kind of a grass area on campus where there was nothing before. But like people had a huge opinion when there was suddenly art in that space. And somebody actually like, prank or whatever. Somebody left a toilet on top of it one time. I mean, it was like crazy how controversial this thing was, and it's like I don't know. It was beyond me. I don't know.
Was there other art on campus?
Yes, but that's another controversy I'll tell you about sometime.
Oh.
Because it was like not anything that the art department was involved in getting made. It's like a big Aggie bowl is one of them that they spent. There's some cool kinetic art. Actually, Utah State, if you guys don't know this, the campus there has a really nice museum, which has an incredible ceramics collection. The Nora Eccles Museum is worth going to when you're going through there.
The University of Calgary does too. Beautiful art all over, outside of, around campus.
Nice.
It's just so, like, outdoor museum.
It's probably not that controversial in Canada.
Another
Like Utah.
person that might be good is Sue Terrell. Are you familiar with Sue
Utah
Terrell's
State.
work?
Oh, Utah State.
She lives
What's that?
Sue who? Sue Terrell. Do you know her work? She lives over near Livingston. She lives in that Paradise Valley. So that might be a little further away because she'd probably have to go around
This time of year?
this time of year.
Yeah, it's a little longer. We drive up to Chico, you know, how long it takes.
Yeah, so I think she lives in Cray, which is right there by
Yeah,
Chico.
yeah, right at Chico. Huh. I'll have to look around.
Is it Chico, Montana?
Yeah.
Chico Hot Springs? Yeah, I think it's in Montana.
Yes.
Okay, Chico is California. Oh, yeah. Cal State Chico. I've never been up there. Yeah, definitely. Catherine Chico's up there stay. Yeah, a lot of people stay on. She's friends up there. She was gonna miss today. I was gonna put some pictures like these. Playing experience. I was wondering if she'd come up with this morning. Yeah. Now she was toward Mexico.
Yeah. Okay.
Cuernavaca. Not Cuernavaca. Cuernavaca. This is be a really nice town. Not the town itself. Should be out of the town. Out of the town is.
I couldn't decide what that meant.
It's turned into a gangland. All that stuff is supposed to have really happened. It was funny. He had greenhouse and like she turned it on. It was so personal. I was so tired. I fell asleep immediately. I've never even seen it. I just heard about it.
Do you find that these like two different picture designs pour as well, and balance wise, or are they similar in the way that they?
They're not similar, but I think they do both pour well, and I think it was maybe luck that happened. I don't know. Or it could just be my great design. But I think those have a good balance. They don't necessarily look like they're gonna balance that well, but I think just the way that the weight distribution happens when you pour it, they work pretty well. I don't use a ton of my pots. I think recently, the last year or two, I've started using more of my pots. I do have a few like this kind that I'll use. Like in the summer, I'll make iced tea a lot. I actually have a Jen Allen picture that I make iced tea in most of the time. Sometimes I'll make it in mine. When I do have those sales at my place, or different events or parties or something, I'll use my pictures.
Does it spout like that? Strain the ice though, or does it come out? Do you know what I mean?
I think the ice comes out. But a lot of times when I make iced tea, and if it's at home for me, it'll be in the fridge for a couple days, so It's not like there's ice in it. Initially there is, but they work well for beer. So at the sales, we always serve beer out of them, and I think the bray is really good for that because at all their events, their receptions, or openings and things, they're